One of the most elusive figures in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal has now been pulled back into the spotlight. Newly released Department of Justice files revealed that Nadia Marcinko, the Slovak model who later became a licensed pilot flying Epstein's infamous private jet, quietly cooperated with the FBI for years. According to documents first reported by the NY Post, Marcinko provided information to federal investigators between 2018 and 2022, all while facing her own immigration uncertainty. Nadia Marcinko, now 40, was previously named as a co-conspirator in Epstein's controversial 2008 Florida non-prosecution agreement, the so-called sweetheart deal that allowed Epstein to plead guilty to state prostitution charges instead of facing federal sex trafficking counts. At the time, her lawyers maintained she was a victim. Now, a 2022 letter from the FBI's Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Division confirms she participated in several telephonic and in-person meetings regarding criminal investigations into both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. In that letter, Special Agent Amanda Young wrote that Nadia Marcinko cooperated extensively, and according to emails included in the file release, her attorneys reached out to federal authorities when her visa was set to expire in 2022. The request? Assistance in remaining in the United States. The FBI, in a declaration to U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services cited in the DOJ files, described Marcinko as someone who had been recruited, harbored, and obtained for a coercive sexual relationship. The documents further state that returning to her native Slovakia could place her at risk of retaliation for speaking with U.S. authorities. Her attorney, Erica Dubno, wrote in correspondence included in the DOJ release that Nadia Marcinko was working on her healing and trying to build a normal life. Federal officials echoed that she had been a victim of human trafficking, a characterization that contrasts with earlier Florida court filings that accused her of participating in sex acts involving minors. She was never criminally charged. Nadia Marcinko's connection to Epstein dates back to the early 2000s. Records reviewed by the Post show she entered the United States through a modeling visa linked to Jean-Luc Brunel's agency. Brunel himself later charged in France in connection to the Epstein network before his death in custody. Emails reportedly reviewed by the NY Post suggest Marcinko began a sexual relationship with Epstein in 2003 when she was 18. However, some victims interviewed in West Palm Beach claim she was present earlier, allegations that have long complicated the narrative around her role. The emails cited in the reporting paint a turbulent dynamic between Nadia Marcinko and Epstein. In one 2006 exchange, Epstein allegedly criticized her for failing to recruit other young women during trips abroad. In another message, he complained about broken promises and unmet expectations. Around 2010, Marcinko attempted to distance herself and sought her own apartment, writing in one email that she had once envisioned a future partnership with him, a future she later described as a shattered fantasy. But despite that fracture, she later earned her pilot's license and began flying Epstein's private jet, widely known as the Lolita Express, which prosecutors have alleged was used to transport victims across state lines and internationally. In 2011, she launched an aviation company called Avila Loop, reportedly backed financially by Epstein. That business, according to email correspondence cited by the NY Post, enabled her to transition to an investor visa after her modeling visa expired. Communication between Epstein and Nadia Marcinko reportedly ended in 2018, the same year she began cooperating with federal investigators. By 2021, her investor visa had lapsed, prompting her legal team to seek support from the FBI. The DOJ files suggest that support came in the form of a formal letter acknowledging her cooperation and trafficking victim status. The Bureau urged immigration authorities to consider those factors in evaluating her case. The revelations add yet another layer to the sprawling Epstein saga, a case that has implicated powerful figures, triggered global investigations, and continues to generate document releases years after his 2019 death in federal custody. Nadia Marcinko's role has long been debated: victim, participant, survivor, witness, or some combination of all four. With these DOJ files now public, a clearer, though still complex timeline is emerging. For now, Nadia Marcinko's attorneys have declined further comment, but as federal documents continue to surface, the story of Epstein's inner circle and those who once stood closest to him is far from over. This is one chapter that may raise more questions than it answers.